Well, everybody, this is Justin Case from American Newscape, joining the woman, the myth, the legend, Rebecca from Dirty Cello and Jason. Hey,
Hi.
hey, everybody. You know that opening is kind of it's pretty sad. Now, let me tell everybody, you two are remarkable musicians and entertainers in a remarkable group. But I made that opening with the cheesiest music that was available to me.
We're okay with cheesy.
Okay. So I apologize. All right. Hey, we're here to talk about music, hiring musicians, and other remarkable things. Greetings, Rebecca and Jason. Welcome to American Newscape.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
And I'll tell everybody before we start, I found their group online a long time ago. I've become a big YouTube fan of theirs because they're really talented. I mean, I'll warn people, if you start watching their music videos on YouTube, it can kind of become addictive. Because when I get these notifications, hey, they posted a new video, I have to go see what it is. All right, so you two, let's get us started. Let's talk about what attracted you first to music.
Definitely. Well, I come from a musical family. My mom's a piano teacher. And so music has always been a part of my life. And I remember when I was 6 and a half, she wanted to start me on an instrument that was different from the piano so that we could play duets together. So she asked me if I wanted to play the harp, and I didn't know what that was. And I said yes. But it turned out we didn't have a big enough car, so I didn't get the harp after all. But the next best instrument in her mind was the cello. So she asked me if I wanted to play that. I said yes. I didn't know what it was, but fortunately I fell in love with it, and the rest is history. And perhaps if I had stayed on the harp, maybe the band would have been Dirty Harp, but I kind of prefer it to be called Dirty Cello.
Dirty cello. all right, all right, Jason. What got you into music?
They had a sixth grade band class, and it meant I got to go to band instead of another period of PE. So I said, sure, I'll do it. And I have almost a similar story. I said, Mom, please get me a saxophone. And she said, that's too expensive, but your cousin gave us a flute you can borrow. So although I'm the guitar player in Dirty Cello, I'm trained as a classical flute player. And we actually met in orchestra at college. And that's where we got started playing together, flute and cello, but now guitar and cello.
Well, now I have to share my story. When little Justin was little, he'd play with all his toys and he'd get bored, and his mom would sit him down in front of the hi-fi. Hi-fi people, for the younger people, a hi-fi was a stereo in its day. And they had Nat King Cole and Dean Martin and Perry Como and all these albums, and I would listen to them for hours. And I fell in love with those musics. And I used to impersonate those people. I was like 4 years old. So I had this passion for music, and we got a chance to go into band. And I think for us, it was fifth grade. And I wanted to do it to get out, like Jason, to get out of social studies class. Who cares about social studies? I didn't care where Siam was. Oops, dated myself again. But so I show up, and little Justin shows up, and the teacher says, well, what would you like to play? I'd like to play the trumpet. Oh, I'm sorry. We've chosen alphabetically, and your name is you. We already have enough trumpet players. I would like to play the drums. I'm sorry. So little Justin didn't know what to do, and she said, "The trombone's like the trumpet." Okay, so lo and behold, played the trombone for a very, very long time, and it's amazing what brought us there, but I think it's a passion, and I think it's a calling. I mean, you're either called to music or you're not. So that being said, tell us about your music. Tell us about your band. Now, Rebecca, you're in the symphony as well. Did I understand that correct?
I am. So basically, once I started learning the cello, I was completely classically trained from 6 and a half all the way through college. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I got into the Santa Rosa Symphony and the Oakland Symphony, which I still play in to this day. But then after I started playing with the orchestras for a couple of years, I really wanted to do something else. I have always had a lot of musical genres that I like. I like everything from blues and bluegrass to hip hop. And I wanted to do something different with my cello. And it felt kind of odd to even say that because that's not something that cello would normally do. So Jason and I just started kind of experimenting with it, and we would play as duos at cafes and just try out our music, just just cello and guitar. And pretty soon we were enjoying what we were doing, and it grew into this full 6 and 7 person band.
Well, and you have a passion for it, and that passion comes across in your personas, and the people love that persona.
Thank you. Yeah, we put it all out there on stage. We don't keep anything to ourselves, and we have a lot of fun at our concerts. It's not really a concert; it's more like an experience. In fact, Jason we never have a set list, so Jason will call out the songs depending on what the audience is digging. So let's say the audience is loving our bluegrass, we'll do more of that, or they're loving the blues, we'll do more of that. So it makes an experience for the audience, an experience for us.
Well, that's cool. And cool dates me, and of course, it sounds like digging dates you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
So the whole group is dependent on what Jason wants to play.
Yeah, and different size groups too, for different places. Everything from just Rebecca and I to the full 7-piece band. We've had horn sections, backup singers, piano players, bass, drums, everything. It lets us cover just about any kind of music. One of our favorite moments in each concert is right before we wrap up, we say, does anyone have any requests? And either we play what people want to hear, or we write it down on this ever-growing giant list. And if you come back in about a year or so, we'll play you that song.
Wow. Well, that's impressive in itself. Let's take just a break here. Let me show the people, one of your videos, and this is a pretty cool video. And if you get to see your group interacting with the crowd, Rebecca singing, and you'll even see Jason, and I believe he's probably playing the guitar. So if you give us a few minutes, we'll get right back to these two.
Can't live life like you're already dead. Can't let fear get into your head. You can't let anger make your shit red. You can't live life like you're already dead. Let's roll. Let's roll. You can't live life like you're already dead. You can't get work if you're not willing to pay. You can't get lost when you're on your way. Let's roll. Let's roll. You can't live life like you're already dead. Ain't about winning if you've already won. It ain't a secret if you tell no one. It ain't worth doing if it's been done. It ain't about winning if you've already won. Let's roll. Let's roll. Like you're already dead. Go too far, or just keep wrong, keep on raising the bar. It ain't worth doing if it isn't hard. Let's roll. Let's roll. You can't live life like you're already dead. To your head, you can't let anger make your shit red. You can't live life like you're already dead. Let's roll. Let's roll. You can't live life like you're already dead.
Wow, I could listen to that all night, and everybody I could see Jason and Rebecca off camera, and they were like proud parents. Proud parents of this production. And they should be. That is remarkable. Our audience is going to love your music.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about the genres that you play, some of your favorite genres, and some of your favorite songs.
So we write a lot of our music and we play a lot of other people's music, but in our own way, of course. And we struggle to describe exactly what we play, but we start with the idea of blues and then blues and bluegrass. And then there's plenty of classic rock. I think the oldest rock song we play might be from the mid 80s, but definitely we hit the 1960s and 70s pretty hard. So blues, bluegrass, and rock. There's some folks approaching country music, but not quite country music in there. And the idea is we have a very short attention span, so we play lots of different stuff as the whole evening progresses.
Well, and that's not enough. One of your favorite songs is from Porgy and Bess. I mean, that's a little bit older than classic rock.
Yep, and that, summertime. And if it's got a feeling behind the song, that's what attracts us to it. Or in the case of that summertime song, people kept hollering it out when we did those requests at concerts. And about a year or so later, we finally worked our way into the set. And we came back to the place we had that first requested, and we said, who was the guy that had that great idea for summertime? And he was in the audience. He's like, me, that was my idea. And so that's how we ended up with the song Summertime.
Well, being in the desert Southwest, we never pay tribute to the summer, but that is a classic. And it's a point that great music transcends time.
True.
I had a chance to, and I shouldn't be talking about me, but I had a chance to interview two brother conductors of symphonies back east. Now, you talk about music traveling in genetics with the family. Their grandfather played with John Phillips Sousa.
Wow.
And I really had trouble not wanting them to talk about what Grandpa used to play. And both of their parents were classical musicians. And I'm thinking, that was just not my world. But there again, as a I guess a retired musician, I can really relate to Jason. Why am I here? I don't want to go to social studies. I don't need to do PE.
Yeah, and it's funny you say John Philip Sousa. We recently not shared a stage with John Philip Sousa, but shared a stage at quite a bit of time removed. We're at the old Piper's Opera House up in Virginia City, Nevada. And this was the stage where Houdini performed, John Philip Sousa, Errol Flynn made a movie there, a lot of the greats from many, many different eras. And we like to find concerts in unique and weird places. And this was an old opera house from the 1800s, burned down a couple times, and they'd mostly rebuilt it. And upcoming, we even have an orchestra show where we take all the dirty cello kind of rock and roll bluesy stuff, but turn it into a giant symphony orchestra. And that's being performed in an old industrial building where they used to make the rope for the World War II battleships in Richmond, California.
And that show is coming up on November 20th, so in a couple weeks at 7 o'clock. And of course, you can always find tickets to our show at dirtycello.com. And also that performance he mentioned at Piper's Opera House, we're actually going back this summer in August. So you can also see that on our website too.
Well, we're going to provide all those links and those show dates. And I warn you people once again, this group is kind of addictive. I mean, these personalities are big and bold, and you have to love them.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't you guys? They're not just a California band. You just took a trip, which you shared on social media, to a small island out in the Atlantic. Talk about that trip a little bit.
Wow, where to start?
Well, recently with all the quarantine stuff, we've been the first band for a lot of places. We were the first mainland band back to Hawaii. In the trip you're referring to, we were the first American band back to Iceland after everything back opened up. So we went to Iceland and we played all of the venues. And that's really not an exaggeration. We landed and we just started playing everywhere. We played concert halls. They have an amazing jazz club there with a ton of history. And then we started inventing venues for ourselves. We played in an old herring factory where they would process all the herring they caught. And it's a silo, this round, echoey silo. And it was in this little village of 40 some odd people. And we advertised the heck out of it, and our friends there advertised for it too. And in the village of 40, we brought out over 60 people.
Yay.
Wow. No, and it was beautifully. Who manages your social media for you?
I do. I do it all. I am the booker, the promoter, social media, website designer, and also the cellist in Dirty Cello. We are truly a do-it-yourself kind of band.
Well, and there's some beauty in that, and I'll give you gold stars for all of that. The temptation is to say Dirty Cello and et al. And but Jason's here, so we will give him his just desserts. You met in college band? Did you ever go the symphony route at all, Jason?
So my other training is I'm a conductor, actually. And so I conduct the Renegade Orchestra, which is that rock and roll orchestra I was talking about. Okay. And when I'm not conducting that and other projects, I write POPs arrangements, so popular music arrangements for orchestras. Or the Oakland Symphony is doing a giant Sinatra show. So I take what is Sinatra and then write all the orchestral stuff. And even weirder things, like they had a famous Vietnamese zither player who wanted to perform with the Oakland Symphony and children's choir. So I write music for weird situations like that to be performed by orchestras.
How cool is that? I mean, and for people that have not been to the symphony or think they wouldn't enjoy it, I was season ticket holders to the Phoenix Pops and loved it because it was always a beautiful surprise. And what they would do with that music. And if people notice some of the music videos or some of your favorite artists like Neil Diamond or Meatloaf, put them in front of a symphony and that music really just pops off the page. And that has to be the biggest thrill for a singer or a group like Meatloaf to actually perform with a symphony at their back.
I'm sure. And one of my favorite things about this Renegade Orchestra is that sometimes when you're a member of an orchestra, you're just a member of the orchestra and you can be easily replaced by like another cello player. But what's so special about the Renegade Orchestra is that every person in the orchestra is important. And in fact, they get multiple solos throughout the night. And a lot of times the musicians are improvising, which is definitely not something that is done in your typical classical orchestra. So if you want to come see something pretty amazing and something different than your normal orchestra, Renegade Orchestra is the way to go. And of course, you can look that up at renegadeorchestra.com when our concerts are coming up.
Well, if I haven't offended you guys, I'd like you to promise to come back and do a special, let's do a full interview on the Renegade Orchestra and get some of that Renegadian music out there.
I would love that.
Yeah,
definitely.
And we'll bring some orchestra members with us too.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Well, we run the risk of me becoming too big a fan and just getting lost, but we can try that. All right.
Sounds good. That being said, I should say with Dirty Cello, we have a bunch of shows coming up. And like you said, we are touring a lot. Like we were in Iceland a couple months ago.
The East Coast a week ago.
Yeah, the East Coast. So if you want to catch a local California show, I think you had it across the screen on the bottom. We're going to be all the way in Santa Cruz. We're going to be in Sacramento. But just to look at dirtycello.com for all those dates. And you can buy tickets directly from our website too.
And we're always I'm looking for an excuse to get on a plane and go somewhere new. We have never played in Arizona. We've been briefly stranded in the Phoenix airport, but that's about it. So if you ever want anybody out there in American Newscape listening land, if you want us to come perform, let us know where. Let us know what venue. If we don't really know the places, we get an email from somebody, hey, come to New Jersey. You'll see us there in a couple months.
It's true.
If a band that works for me, the first thing they hear from me when they ask, what can we do to be more successful? And I always tell them this story. If I put you on a bale of hay and hand you a Mr. Microphone, the moment I hand you the check, I want you to tell me this was the greatest venue I've ever been to. but see, it's that passion and that love for music, and I would love to see you guys perform live. So I'm excited about that opportunity for me, and I'm excited for that opportunity for everybody out there. And I'm sure we attracted some people to this video because they thought Dirty Cello was a porn site of cello players, but it's not. And
Well, oh, go ahead.
where did the name Dirty Cello come from?
Well, first I was going to say it was kind of funny because Dirty Cello is that type of name where you're like, what exactly is that? And we once played in a small town in California, and when people saw on the marquee that Dirty Cello was playing at this little theater, a lot of them called and complained and said, what kind of show are you doing here? Like, we are a family friendly town. But they said, no, it's not what you think. So one of the reasons we came up with Dirty Cello, and it's actually pretty simple. Number one was I wanted people to go, what the heck is that? And then come see us. So that's been working rather well. And then the second thing was, since I was classically trained, I think of my playing for when I play classical as a very clean type of playing, and Dirty Cello is completely the opposite of that. You know, the blues it's not a clean type of genre. It's messy, it's in your face, it's passionate. So I really wanted to convey that with the name of our band.
Well, and I think it's a perfect name, and it's a name that everybody will remember.
That's true.
And the other thing is the personas of the band. I mean, it's important that a group have a persona. You guys certainly do. The music's wonderful. And I would believe that your fans love you, and you almost have a groupie car of music groupies just coming to listen to you guys play.
We do.
We do, and sometimes they bring us eggs from their chickens, and sometimes you can kind of see directly over our shoulder there in the middle between us, that's a quilt of a picture of a show we did in Tahoe that someone made for us. And so, yes, we do get to know our fans. We don't like to be any kind of a hoity-toity band, so we appreciate the eggs and the quilts and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, and that's the passion. When we watch the video that we even when we showed, these people can't stand still. They're not sitting there stoically listening to you. And just because they can't dance doesn't mean they're not dancing.
That's true.
All right. Well, I'm proud to know you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming out. This was a lot of fun for me. I want you to promise to come back because I want to keep tabs on you guys, and I will go to the website. I will follow you on social media. I will find out where you're going to be, and one day this monster of the Midway will walk in and he'll say, "Where's Dirty Cello?"
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to meet you in the future.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Is there something you'd like to leave us with before we take off?
Rebecca plays the cello. We're all classically trained musicians in the entire band. And somewhere out there is a little kid starting music. And in this day and age, anytime someone picks up an instrument and says, "I like it," someone immediately says to them, "Well, you can't make a living doing that." And we like to stand in opposition of that and say a classical training, a passion for music, and a joy in music. And we say this to kids, people coming back to this, or anybody, no one should tell you stop. And please encourage everyone around the world to be into music, keep going, to be supporters of music, listeners of music, and whenever possible, players of music too.
Hey, that's a beautiful message, Jason. Mm-hmm. All righty. We'll end on that, and I'll try not to say something cheesy on the way out of here. Hey, this has been Just In Case, and our new friends, Rebecca and Jason from Dirty Cello, providing some Christmas spirit entertainment ideas, bands. Book that band when you get a chance if you can find these guys, if they have an open night. And thanks for joining us. Please remember additional information and all the links to Dirty Cello are provided in this video's Read More. Please consider checking out their websites and subscribing to this channel.